Imagine growing up in a family where every decision, every choice, and every step of your life is controlled by strict rules and traditions. Now, imagine trying to find your own identity in a world so different from the one you were raised in. This is exactly the story of Ethan Plath from Welcome to Plathville. Over the years, viewers have watched Ethan struggle with the expectations of his parents, navigate family tensions, and eventually carve out his own path. But the journey wasn't easy. Ethan's marriage to Olivia, once filled with hope and love, slowly began to show cracks. After 5 years together, it became clear that their life goals, dreams, and personal growth paths were moving in different directions. In 2023, Ethan and Olivia announced their separation, and by 2026, their divorce was finalized, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a completely new chapter for Ethan. Today, Ethan is stepping into a fresh start. He has found love again with Teegen, and their relationship is blossoming. In just a few months, they are expected to tie the knot, marking not just a new romantic chapter, but also a period of personal growth and stability for Ethan. If you've ever wondered how family expectations, personal growth, and love intersect in real life, this story is for you. Stay with us as we dive deep into Ethan's journey, from his childhood in Plathville to navigating divorce, finding love, and embracing a new life. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to follow every update on Ethan's life and join the conversation in the comments below, because this is one story you won't want to miss: background and family dynamics. Ethan Plath's story begins long before his life as a reality TV star or his publicized relationships. Growing up in the quiet rural landscapes of Georgia, Ethan was raised in a household defined by strict rules, traditional values, and a very controlled lifestyle. His parents, Kim and Barry Plath, created a world where the family's beliefs governed every aspect of daily life, from the way the children dressed to the activities they were allowed to participate in, and even the type of friendships they could have. In many ways, the Plath family's lifestyle was almost like a bubble, shielding the children from outside influences, but also creating a sense of confinement. Ethan, as one of the older siblings, was often caught in the delicate balance between obeying his parents' rules and wanting to explore his own individuality. On television, viewers got a glimpse of this tension. Ethan appeared both respectful and responsible, often acting as a mediator between his younger siblings and his parents. Yet behind the camera, the pressure to conform was immense. Every choice he made was scrutinized, not just by his parents, but by the expectations placed on him as the eldest son in a conservative household. School and social life outside the family added another layer of complexity. Unlike many teens who experience the freedom to explore hobbies, friendships, and relationships, Ethan's interactions with the world beyond Plathville were limited. His parents believed strongly in shielding the children from influences they considered inappropriate or harmful, which often meant Ethan had little room to make mistakes, test boundaries, or even fully understand his own desires. This protective environment, while well-intentioned, created an internal struggle. Ethan was growing into a young man who longed for independence, yet he was constantly reminded of the rules he could not break. The dynamics with his siblings also played a significant role in shaping Ethan's worldview. On the show, Ethan's relationship with his sisters, particularly Olivia, often stood out. Olivia was both a confidant and a source of tension. The two shared a bond, understanding each other in ways that only siblings raised under the same strict conditions could. Yet, differences in personality, ambition, and desires sometimes caused conflict, adding layers to Ethan's experience growing up in a household where emotions were often suppressed and conformity was prized over individuality. As Ethan matured, the tension between familial duty and personal freedom became increasingly apparent. The show highlighted his attempts to balance these forces. He wanted to honor his parents and maintain the family's reputation, yet he also yearned to explore life on his own terms. This conflict was never more evident than when Ethan began considering life outside Plathville, making decisions about career, relationships, and lifestyle that didn't perfectly align with his parents' expectations. By the time Ethan entered adulthood, the foundations of independence had been laid, even if cautiously. He was aware that stepping outside the family norms would invite scrutiny, judgment, and conflict. But the desire for a personal life, one in which he could make his own decisions, had grown too strong to ignore. These early experiences, both restrictive and formative, would later influence every major decision in Ethan's life, from marriage to divorce, and eventually his journey toward love with Teegen. In short, Ethan's childhood and early life were defined by the struggle between the controlled, conservative environment of Plathville and the natural desire of a young adult to find his own identity. The lessons he learned, the frustrations he endured, and the relationships he navigated during these formative years set the stage for everything that would come next. Understanding this background is essential to fully appreciating the choices he made as he entered adulthood, the choices that ultimately led him to both heartbreak and new beginnings, marriage and divorce. As Ethan Plath moved into adulthood, the natural progression of life brought him to one of the most significant chapters in his personal story: marriage. Ethan's relationship with Olivia, his former wife, began with hope and optimism, much like any young couple stepping into a shared life together. At first, it seemed like a union of two people ready to build a life together. But as viewers later saw on Welcome to Plathville, the realities of marriage introduced challenges neither of them had fully anticipated. Ethan and Olivia's early days of marriage were marked by excitement and adjustment. Coming from the highly structured environment of the Plath household, Ethan was still learning to navigate relationships on his own terms. While Olivia shared many similarities with him, values shaped by their upbringing and a desire for stability, differences in personality and long-term goals gradually became more apparent. Marriage, after all, is not just about love, it is about compromise, shared vision, and growth together. And for Ethan and Olivia, these elements did not always align seamlessly. Over the course of 5 years, the couple faced a mix of highs and lows. There were moments of connection, laughter, and shared achievement, but underlying these moments were the subtle tensions born from differing expectations. Ethan, having been raised in a life of rules and limitations, sometimes struggled with communication and expressing emotions in ways that met Olivia's needs. Olivia, likewise, had her own vision for a partnership, one that included mutual support, personal growth, and shared decision-making. When these visions didn't perfectly overlap, friction arose and small disagreements began to snowball into more significant challenges. The challenges were not limited to personal dynamics. Family expectations also played a subtle yet persistent role. Ethan's upbringing in Plathville meant that certain values and beliefs were deeply ingrained, and while he sought freedom, these lessons influenced his decisions and interactions. Olivia, while understanding of his background, had her own perspectives shaped by different experiences, and navigating this balance often became a source of strain. Friends and family members occasionally weighed in, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not, adding complexity to the marriage. As the years passed, it became increasingly clear that Ethan and Olivia were moving in different directions. Their individual aspirations, desires, and priorities began to diverge. What had once been a partnership rooted in shared background and affection now faced the reality of incompatible life goals. Ethan was seeking personal growth and independence, exploring avenues that reflected his own identity and values, while Olivia pursued her vision of stability and fulfillment. The realization that their marriage could not fully support both of their paths became unavoidable. In 2023, after much deliberation and reflection, Ethan and Olivia made the difficult decision to announce their separation publicly. For fans of Welcome to Plathville, this announcement was both shocking and, in hindsight, inevitable. The couple handled the announcement with a mix of transparency and discretion, acknowledging the love and respect they still held for each other while affirming that separation was the best path forward. The decision was not a sudden impulse. It was the result of years of growth, observation, and mutual recognition that their paths had diverged. Following the separation, the legal process of divorce began. The journey to finalize the end of a marriage is rarely simple, and for Ethan and Olivia, it involves careful navigation of legal, financial, and emotional considerations. Filing for divorce required both parties to engage with attorneys, manage paperwork, and address the logistics of ending a shared life while maintaining dignity and respect. The process was understandably challenging as it forced them to confront the realities of their relationship and the consequences of choosing to part ways. By 2026, the divorce was officially finalized, marking the conclusion of a 5-year chapter of Ethan's life. The legal closure allowed both Ethan and Olivia to fully transition into their respective futures, free from the obligations and limitations of their former partnership. For Ethan, the completion of the divorce was not just a legal milestone, it was an emotional turning point. It symbolized the end of one era and the beginning of another, providing space for reflection, healing, and the opportunity to rebuild his life on his own terms. The lessons Ethan learned during this period were profound. He recognized the importance of communication, personal boundaries, and the need for alignment in long-term goals within a marriage. The experience also highlighted the challenges of balancing family expectations with individual desires, especially for someone who grew up in a highly controlled environment like Plathville. These lessons, while sometimes painful, equipped Ethan with the tools and perspective needed to approach future relationships with clarity and maturity. The story of Ethan and Olivia's marriage and divorce also resonated with viewers because it reflected a universal truth. Love alone is often not enough to sustain a partnership if life goals, personal growth, and individual values do not align. Their journey illustrated the complexity of adult relationships, especially for individuals emerging from highly structured or unconventional childhoods. It also demonstrated that ending a marriage, while difficult, can be a necessary step toward personal fulfillment and happiness. In the wake of the divorce, Ethan faced a crucial period of transition. For many, the end of a marriage can feel like a loss of identity, a disorientation, or even a crisis. Ethan, however, approached this phase with a determination to learn from the past and intentionally shape his future. The divorce allowed him to step back, reflect on his experiences, and focus on personal growth, paving the way for the next chapter of his life, one that would eventually include love, companionship, and the prospect of marriage with Teegen. Ultimately, part 2 of Ethan's story is not just about the end of a marriage. It is about resilience, self-awareness, and the courage to make difficult decisions. It is about acknowledging that sometimes love is not enough, and that choosing a path aligned with personal growth and happiness requires honesty, strength, and acceptance. Ethan's journey through marriage and divorce lays the foundation for understanding his motivations, his choices, and the mindset that led him to embrace a new chapter of love and life in the years that followed. Life after divorce. The conclusion of Ethan and Olivia's marriage marked a turning point in Ethan Plath's life. After the finalization of the divorce in 2026, Ethan faced a period that many describe as both liberating and challenging, the transitional phase after leaving a long-term relationship. This was a time not only of emotional adjustment, but also of deep self-reflection. Growing up in Plathville, Ethan had been accustomed to following rules, adhering to expectations, and prioritizing family values above personal desires. Now, for the first time, he was navigating a life almost entirely on his own terms, free from the structure that had shaped him for so many years. Initially, the post-divorce period was emotionally complex. Ethan experienced a mix of relief, grief, and uncertainty. Relief came from stepping away from a relationship that, while rooted in love, no longer matched his personal goals. Grief emerged as he acknowledged the loss of a significant chapter in his life, the shared experiences, the routines, and the sense of companionship that had been a part of his everyday world for 5 years. Uncertainty arose as he contemplated the path ahead. What kind of life did he want to build? How could he establish independence while honoring the lessons of his past? During this period, Ethan focused on self-discovery. He reflected deeply on the patterns that had shaped his past, from his upbringing in a strict household to the challenges he faced in his marriage. He began identifying the values and priorities that truly mattered to him, distinguishing between the expectations imposed by others and the aspirations that emerged from his own heart and mind. This process was not simple. It required honesty, introspection, and the courage to confront uncomfortable truths about himself and his relationships. Ethan's approach to rebuilding his life involved both practical and emotional strategies. On a practical level, he examined his career, living situation, and financial independence, ensuring that he could support himself and make choices without external constraints. Emotionally, he sought ways to process his past experiences, often reflecting on what he could have done differently, what lessons he had learned, and how he could use these lessons to make better decisions moving forward. Friends, mentors, and supportive figures in his life played a critical role during this time, offering guidance, perspective, and reassurance as he navigated the transition. One of the most significant aspects of this period was Ethan's focus on mental and emotional stability. He recognized that before entering another relationship, he needed to be grounded, confident, and self-aware. The years in Plathville had taught him discipline, responsibility, and the importance of family, but they had also left him with a desire for personal freedom and self-expression. The divorce, while difficult, offered a unique opportunity to integrate these experiences and cultivate a sense of autonomy and self-confidence. During these months, Ethan also confronted the ways in which societal and familial expectations had influenced his choices. Growing up in a controlled environment, he had often felt obligated to meet certain standards, even at the expense of personal happiness. Now, he deliberately evaluated his actions through the lens of personal fulfillment, asking himself whether his decisions reflected his true desires or the expectations of others. This exercise in self-awareness became a cornerstone of his approach to life after divorce, providing clarity and direction for future relationships, including the one with Teegen. As he moved forward, Ethan embraced new opportunities for personal growth and exploration. He explored hobbies, interests, and social connections that had previously been limited by his upbringing. This period of experimentation and discovery allowed him to redefine himself outside the context of family rules and marriage obligations. Each step contributed to a growing sense of independence, self-respect, and confidence, qualities that would become essential in his journey toward love and a renewed sense of purpose. At the same time, Ethan maintained a careful balance between reflection and forward momentum. While he honored the lessons of the past, he also avoided dwelling excessively on regrets or what-ifs. Instead, he focused on actionable steps to build a fulfilling future. Whether it was strengthening friendships, pursuing personal projects, or preparing emotionally for new relationships, Ethan approached each day with intention, demonstrating resilience and adaptability in the face of life's uncertainties. This period also prepared Ethan for the emotional readiness required to meet Teegen and develop a meaningful connection. By the time he entered this new relationship, he had already processed the grief of divorce, clarified his personal goals, and strengthened his understanding of what he wanted in a partner. This self-awareness allowed him to approach love with a balance of optimism, caution, and confidence, a stark contrast to the uncertainty and restriction that had characterized his earlier years. In essence, life after divorce became a transformative chapter for Ethan. It was a time to reclaim autonomy, reflect on personal growth, and establish a foundation for emotional stability. The lessons learned during this period not only helped him navigate the immediate challenges of single life, but also prepared him for the joys, responsibilities, and commitments of a new romantic partnership. Through resilience, introspection, and deliberate action, Ethan demonstrated that endings, though difficult, can serve as catalysts for profound personal development and future happiness. By embracing this period of transition with clarity and purpose, Ethan positioned himself to enter the next stage of his life as a stronger, more self-aware, and emotionally prepared individual. Life after divorce was not just a continuation of his journey. It was the beginning of a renewed path, one where love, personal fulfillment, and independence could coexist harmoniously. This preparation laid the groundwork for the next chapter, his blossoming relationship with Teegen and the prospect of building a life together that reflects both his past experiences and his present aspirations. New love with Teegen. After navigating the emotional challenges of divorce and spending time reflecting on his personal goals, Ethan Plath entered a new chapter of life, one filled with hope, excitement, and love. This chapter began with Teegen, a woman who would become his partner in building a future rooted in mutual understanding and shared aspirations. Meeting Teegen marked a significant turning point for Ethan as it allowed him to explore a relationship that reflected both his growth and his readiness for commitment. From the beginning, Ethan and Tegan's connection was rooted in compatibility and shared values. Unlike past experiences where expectations and external pressures sometimes complicated relationships, Ethan approached this new partnership with clarity and intentionality. He was not only emotionally available, but also conscious of the lessons learned from his marriage to Olivia. These lessons informed how he communicated, expressed love, and built trust with Teegen. As their relationship developed, it became clear to both Ethan and those around them that this bond was serious and meaningful. Teegen provided a sense of balance and partnership that complemented Ethan's personality and goals. Together, they navigated the joys and challenges of building a life together, supporting each other's ambitions, while creating shared experiences that strengthened their connection. Their relationship was also a testament to Ethan's personal growth. He approached love not out of obligation or external expectation, but out of genuine choice and emotional readiness. Looking ahead, Ethan and Teegen have plans to formalize their commitment. Reports indicate that within the next 2 to 3 months, the couple is expected to marry, marking a joyful milestone in Ethan's journey. This impending union is not just a romantic development. It represents the culmination of years of personal reflection, growth, and resilience. It symbolizes a chapter in which Ethan has embraced both love and independence, ready to build a life defined by his values and aspirations rather than past limitations. In short, Ethan's relationship with Teegen represents hope, renewal, and the positive outcomes that can follow periods of reflection and personal growth. It is a story of moving forward, learning from past experiences, and finding love in a way that complements one's journey toward self-fulfillment and happiness. Personal growth and future outlook. Ethan Plath's journey through divorce and new love has not only reshaped his personal relationships, but also catalyzed profound personal growth. Having experienced the pressures of a highly controlled upbringing and the challenges of a 5-year marriage, Ethan now approaches life with a renewed sense of purpose, self-awareness, and confidence. The lessons from his past, both the successes and the struggles, have informed the way he views himself, his goals, and his relationships moving forward. One of the most significant aspects of Ethan's personal growth is his commitment to emotional stability and self-reflection. He has learned to identify his needs and boundaries, ensuring that his decisions align with his authentic self rather than external expectations. This clarity allows him to engage in relationships with honesty and openness, fostering deeper connections built on trust and mutual understanding. Ethan's experience has shown him that growth often comes from navigating life's challenges, and that resilience is strengthened through reflection, patience, and intentional action. Beyond relationships, Ethan has focused on building a balanced life that honors his personal aspirations. He is prioritizing his career, personal projects, and social connections, creating a lifestyle that supports independence and fulfillment. By integrating lessons from his upbringing and past experiences, he approaches decision-making with thoughtfulness and foresight, ensuring that his future is guided by both wisdom and personal desire. Looking ahead, Ethan's engagement to Teegen represents not just a romantic milestone, but also a symbol of his personal evolution. The partnership reflects his ability to embrace love without sacrificing autonomy and demonstrates the positive outcomes of self-discovery and resilience. With marriage on the horizon, Ethan is poised to cultivate a life that harmonizes love, growth, and independence, a life that he actively shapes rather than passively inherits. In essence, Ethan's future outlook is defined by confidence, intentionality, and hope. He has learned that setbacks can become opportunities, that reflection can guide growth, and that embracing change is essential for fulfillment. This chapter in his life underscores the power of personal growth and the promise of a future built on lessons learned, relationships nurtured, and the courage to pursue both happiness and authenticity. Reflections and lessons. Ethan Plath's journey, from his childhood in Plathville, through marriage, divorce, and now a new chapter with Teegen, offers more than just the story of one individual. It serves as a broader reflection on life, love, and the lessons we learn through personal experiences. For Ethan, each stage of his journey has provided insights about relationships, family expectations, and the importance of staying true to oneself. One of the clearest lessons Ethan's story illustrates is the delicate balance between love and compatibility. His marriage to Olivia, though founded on affection and shared values, revealed that love alone is often not enough to sustain a long-term partnership. Personal goals, communication styles, and life visions all play critical roles. Ethan learned firsthand that understanding oneself and a partner, aligning priorities, and maintaining honesty are essential for a healthy, fulfilling relationship. Another key insight is the significance of personal growth and emotional readiness. Ethan's post-divorce period was not simply about recovery, it was about preparation. He took the time to reflect on his past, identify what he truly wanted in life, and ensure that he was ready to enter a new relationship with clarity and confidence. This deliberate self-awareness allowed him to approach his relationship with Teegen with intention, respect, and emotional maturity, a stark contrast to the uncertainty and constraints of his earlier years. Family influence and expectations also played a central role in Ethan's life lessons. Growing up under strict rules taught him discipline, responsibility, and a sense of accountability, but it also highlighted the importance of independence and personal choice. By recognizing which lessons were valuable and which boundaries he needed to redefine for himself, Ethan found a way to honor his upbringing without letting it limit his personal happiness. Perhaps the most profound lesson from Ethan's journey is resilience. Life will inevitably bring challenges, family pressure, relationship struggles, and personal setbacks. But how one responds can define the trajectory of future happiness. Ethan's ability to learn from difficult experiences, adapt, and move forward demonstrates that setbacks are not endings. They are opportunities for growth, self-discovery, and renewed purpose. Ethan's story is not just about one individual navigating love and life. It is a reminder that personal evolution, self-reflection, and courage can transform challenges into meaningful progress. His experiences encourage viewers to examine their own lives, embrace change, and pursue happiness with intention and authenticity. Closing and final call to action. Ethan Plath's journey is a story of growth, resilience, and the pursuit of personal happiness. From his upbringing in Plathville's strict household to navigating a challenging marriage, going through divorce, and finding love again with Teegen, Ethan has shown that life is a series of lessons, sometimes difficult, often transformative, but always valuable. His story reminds us that personal growth requires honesty with ourselves, courage to make tough decisions, and the willingness to embrace change. The path Ethan has taken illustrates that endings, while painful, can lead to new beginnings. His divorce was not a failure, but a necessary step toward self-discovery and future happiness. Similarly, his relationship with Teegen represents hope, renewal, and the joy of building a life on one's own terms. Through these experiences, Ethan demonstrates the power of resilience, reflection, and intentional choices in shaping a meaningful, fulfilling life. If Ethan's story resonates with you, whether through the challenges of family expectations, the lessons of past relationships, or the excitement of new beginnings, there's something to learn and reflect upon. Follow Ethan's journey as it continues to unfold, share your thoughts and experiences, and stay engaged with the story of growth, love, and self-discovery. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for updates on Ethan's life and other inspiring stories of transformation. Life is full of lessons, and Ethan Plath's story is a powerful reminder that every ending can lead to a brighter, more fulfilling chapter.